Anyways, so, welcome back to a series of bad decisions where I talk about anything. Ignore the cat. The thing about coming out is that it's not a one and done thing. You don't get to, have the big coming out sob story, whatever, and then you're done. You're doing this for the rest of your life over and over every time you meet a new person. So when I didn't really realize I wasn't straight until I was about 16, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, okay, so I am asexual, which means I do not experience sexual attraction to anybody or anything. I'm not necessarily aromantic. I still like experience romantic attraction. I still want to, get married, settle down, whatever. But I'm not sexually attracted to people. It's a whole thing. Anyways, my point is I'm asexual. But from about 16 to 19, I didn't know that was an option. So I figured if I'm not sexually attracted to guys, I must be sexually attracted to girls, even though my attraction to women was not actually all that different from my attraction to guys. Which is to say, completely without sex. Anyway, so from about 16 to 19, I thought I was a lesbian. During that time, I came out to a lot of different people because, that's the thing you do when you meet new people. And so many of them said so many uniquely stupid things. Like, not just the usual, you're going to hell or whatever, but, I mean, I got that too, but the first one I remember is I came out to a friend in high school. We were talking about the attractiveness of Matt Bomer, and I was like, because he is a uniquely attractive individual, even I can appreciate that. Um, but, and I was like, well, I mean, I wouldn't, and she's like, I just want to lick him. And I was like, well, I wouldn't know about that. And she's like, why? And I was like, well, I'm not attracted to men, I'm a lesbian. And she's like, but you're so pretty. And for the longest time, I had no idea what that was supposed to mean. I was just like, thanks? I didn't realize until I was much older. I didn't find out that there's this whole stereotype about lesbians being lesbians because they're ugly and can't get a man. Like, women don't also have standards. I think my favorite time I came out was the second, like, big thing. I was on a trip to Israel when I was 17 in July. This was in 2011. It was basically, to learn more about your heritage as a Jew. It was especially aimed towards kids who weren't necessarily from, like, super religious or super observant families or whatever, to, like, sort of learn more about our cultural heritage and our religious heritage. It was really cool and everything. But there was this one kid I did not get along with. Like, we had, like, a rivalry for the ages. Like, every time, like, I hated him, and he just grated on my nerves, and I guess I grated on his. People kept saying, but he likes you, and I'd be like, yeah, no, fuck that, I don't care. He's an asshole. Looking back, I don't have any specific reason why I hated him so much, I just kind of did. Anyway, so the culmination of this rivalry is, it's the last night, we're in a hotel in Jerusalem, and, like, everybody's getting on it's like, last night we have to get up at, ass o'clock in the morning tomorrow. It's like midnight. Everybody's going to bed. So we all crowd into the elevator, and it's all of these teenagers and one, like, old couple of tourists that I think were German. I'm not sure why I think that, but I keep thinking that, but for some reason I'm convinced that they were German. Anyways, so these two tiny girls who were probably maybe 90 pounds each. So these two girls get on, and then the guy gets on. And the elevator's like, no, you can't go. The elevator's like, weight limit, we're over the weight limit. And so I figured, still feel logically, that the heaviest person should get off so we could, and it was obviously him because he was like 6 feet tall and not a lightweight, not a skinny guy. He probably weighed about the same as the two girls combined. So obviously it made more sense to me, in efficiency-wise, that one person should get off rather than two. But he bullied the two girls into getting off. And so that set us off. And we were sniping back and forth, and finally we reached the girls' floor, because the girls' floor and the guys' floor. And we reach our floor, and this poor couple is just so baffled and confused. I don't know how good their grasp of English was, but they would just look really uncomfortable, and everybody was just watching because they were so used to this. It had been a month. Like, as we reached my floor, finally he muttered, "So ugly, I swear she's a lesbian." And I look him dead in the eye, and I say, "You got a problem with that?" And I walk off the elevator. It was one of the most badass moments of my life. Even if it's not technically true, it turns out I'm not actually a lesbian. And also I'm not ugly. So, haha, nobody believes you, you're an asshole. Anyways, so that was really cool. Later that night, I got some I got the usual questions of, you know, have you, I mean, but you're a virgin, aren't you? And it's like, I mean, yeah, I've kissed some people before, and it was all right. This was before, like, my first real boyfriend. If you've never had, no, you had the usual, if you've never had a sex with a guy, how do you know you don't like it? And I was like, well, I mean, if you've never had sex with a girl, how do you know you don't like it? And they were very obviously stumped, or if you've never had sex with a guy, how do you know you don't like it? So, depending on the person's gender. Um, that was pretty cool. I think the first really super bizarre thing I got was a few months later. One of the friends I made on this trip came from a non-religious family. So he started spending, Shabbat, the weekends, with my family because he wanted to become more religious, more Orthodox, or at least that's what he said, and I believed him. Um, and so, we would hang out on Friday night after everyone had gone to bed. And, he kept hitting on me, and he would blame it on being sleep deprived, and I being an innocent, naive 17-year-old, I believed him because I was uniquely sheltered. But eventually, it got to the point where, like, dude, I'm a lesbian. I'm not attracted to guys. And he's like, wait, really? And I was like, how did you not remember this? It was all over. Like, nobody would stop talking about it for the entire last night of the trip. This was only, and he's like, oh, I honestly forgot about that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I figured that was the end of it. And then he says, so does this mean we can have no strings attached sex? And I thought he was joking. But then I look at him and I realize he's not. I never invited him over again. When I came to college, I started spending more time on the internet, started spending time with a greater variety of people. And I realized, and I actually, had a steady partner and had sex, and I realized, this just really isn't for me. Why is this not a thing for me? Oh. And then I discovered asexuality and was like, oh, this is the thing I am. This explains it. Okay. I understand now. And, a lot of asexuals, get, maybe you just haven't had sex with the right person yet, somebody you have chemistry with, which I've gotten this from my own mother, and it's like, I've had sex with somebody who was very bad at it, or we made out hard enough that it was near enough to sex, and I've had sex with somebody who was very good at it, somebody very dedicated to pleasuring me. I know the difference between bad and good sex. I know the difference between somebody I genuinely enjoy being around and somebody I don't really want to be around, but I'm just sort of going along with it. It's not about that. It's not whether or not my partner is actually good at sex. It's not whether or not they're the right person or I actually, I don't have chemistry with them. I just don't really like sex. The smells are weird, the sounds are weirder, and the other person is just sort of distracting. I'd rather just do it on my own, So I get that. I think for a long time, I think my mother didn't really quite understand, that it really wasn't just about chemistry. It was straight up, no, I just don't. Another one I got from a spectacularly awful woman who I didn't know was like the mother of my sister's friend. I don't know how it came up, but I was talking to her. I was trying to be friends with her. I was trying to be nice with her, even if she was really weird and overexcited and manic in a way that seemed like she was on something. Not necessarily something she was supposed to be on. She later turned out to be a huge biphobe, panphobe, but that's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant, but it's not the point of the story. She said to me, "You're so pretty, though. Such a waste." She's like, "You're a middle-aged woman showing me your tattoo that's uncomfortably near to your tit. You're married, and your son is friends with my sister. They're both 6 years younger than me. You're old enough to be my mother. Please stop." Like, no, it's not a waste. How is it a waste? There's nothing to waste. I think my favorite reaction to people finding out that I'm not straight, though, was a coworker recently. She doesn't actually, I don't think I told her I'm ace. She just knows that I'm queer because it came up that I've dated both men and women. And she's like, wait, so you're like, it was like, oh, we were talking about our romantic histories or whatever, because I guess that's a thing women do when left alone. I don't know. We were at work, whatever. And so she's like, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, my ex-boyfriend, and then I referenced my ex-girlfriend. She's like, oh, so you're a lesbian? I was like, no, I don't really care what's in my partner's pants, because I don't want to touch it. I don't really care. You do your thing with what's in your pants, and I'll do what I want with what's in my pants, and never the twain shall meet, kind of thing. And her reaction was, oh, well, that's eccentric. And I couldn't stop laughing. And I cannot wait until it comes up in conversation that not only am I panromantic, I'm asexual and genderqueer. I cannot wait to hear her reaction to these things. It hasn't come up yet, but I can't wait. Eccentric. That's a word for, like, crazy people who are also rich. That's not... Who says that? Really? Are we really doing this right now? Can you not shake the camera and chew on the cord? Please? If you enjoyed this video, check out more content in the links in the description below for the Dungeon Bad Decisions Discord server, and my blog where I post quotes, anecdotes, and photos from the tabletop games I play in at thedungeonofbadDecisions.tumblr.com, and to support my Patreon. Special thanks again to Crunchy Chompy for being a Game Master's Nightmare, and to Polygon and Tark for being average adventurers. Click here to check out the rest of the series, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Roll 20s, y'all!